Imagine a world in which the weather forecast plays a significant role in causing and not predicting, but causing the weather itself. In that world, the weather you experience reflects the forecast, and the weather you experience frequently in the past. And I'm sure you're going to say the weather doesn't work like that, right? But your brain does. And in this video, I will show you how your unconscious is responsible for your perception of reality and how most of us were actually programmed from childhood and why this matters as a conscious creator and as an entrepreneur. So the first thing is that you actually don't see the reality as it is. For much history, researchers thought that the perception we have of reality was a form of outside-in process. So it means that you experience the reality that is an outside thing through your senses, and you see the reality as it is because your body works like a camera and it's an outside in. So in business, let's give an example. Let's say you have a sales call with someone. It would mean that what you perceive from the situation is the truth. So, for example, if the person is smiling or not smiling, or asking questions or not asking questions, whatever the person is doing, you are actually recording the scene. Your body, your brain are recording the scene as it is. It would sound logical, but it's not what is happening. The brain is not working like a camera, and it's less an outside-in process and more an inside-out process, which raised the question of what is actually the reality if it's not outside-in and inside-out. So there is a beautiful quote from Andy Clark. He wrote the book The Experience Machine: How Our Minds Predict and Shape Reality. So he talks about the predictive brain and how this outside in or inside out work. And he said, whole human experience is part phantom, the product of a deep set predictions. We can no more experience the world prediction and expectation free that we could surf without a wave. In other words, it's just that it's a lot more inside out than outside in. So what does it mean for you as a creator, as a self-employed person, as a business owner? Let's go back to the sales call. So if it's not outside in and more inside in, it means that there are things that influence the perception of the reality of this moment. These things could be a lot of different things. What you think the ideal interaction could be, other experiences with other people, with other clients, another business you had, your childhood. I mentioned childhood because it's highly relevant, your studies, but also a lot of other things, your culture, what you learned about emotions, what you learned about relationships, about success, what success is not, your relationship to money, what you think is money, what you think is value, your relationship with language, how you express yourself, and basically all the patterns your body, your nervous system learned, all the patterns your brain learned, and everything that is stored below the level of your awareness. So everything that is stored in your unconscious. So in this example with your sales call, let's say there is person A that see the person thinking, obviously, and asking question, and the reality, what this person perceives from the reality is, oh, this person is thinking, so this person is interested. So it's positive. so I'm welcomed, so my offer is valuable, so I should give a little bit more ideas and maybe share some testimonials and explain a little bit more the method or something, but this is going very well. The person B is maybe going to perceive the situation as more negative or much more negative. And this is because of the inside out. So depending on what is stored in the unconscious of this person, this situation might be interpreted by the brain as the person is not really interested. The person is judging my prices. This person is judging the method, and this person doesn't think it's valuable. But the situation is the same. Actually, the client or the potential client is just thinking and maybe just thinking about who is going to take care of the dog during the sessions. That could be just that. So this raises a really strong and interesting question. And the question is, what is the reality if it's more an inside-out thing? It means we don't share the same reality, right? It's not possible because we have been programmed in different ways. And it also raises the question of being programmed. So by that I mean that most of us, we went to school, some of us, we went to university, we all had probably jobs, and we all read journals and medias and watched movies and had a look at news. And all of that contain programations. And very often these programations are what we can call fear-based programs. You should go to school and university to get good grades because you should be afraid of being unemployed or not having the right skills, or the market is difficult, or this particular path is difficult, or life is difficult, money doesn't grow on trees, and you have tons of different programations. And the sad part of it's like fear-based programations. This happens all the time. You just can get a look at medias and news. It's always about disasters, stressful events, and traumas. And this influence our unconscious. This reshape our nervous systems. And once our unconscious and nervous system are learned stress, trauma, fear-based programs, then our perception of reality change. Then the inside out is influenced by these fear-based programs. Then we tend to see something that is not really the reality because the brain is based on predictions. These predictions are based on data that are stored in the unconscious. So how are you supposed to create abundance and success if you run on programs based on fear, survival, or lack? And I think that's a really important question for creators, for entrepreneurs, because when you switch from consuming content or consuming books or consuming stuff and you start creating something that matters to you, so you step up in creation, then the question of what is your reality and how you can influence this reality matters a lot, because you're not consuming passively and you become a creator, an actor. You need to reclaim your sovereignty, and it's not just about business, it's about what you believe, and it's about the reality you want to experience. So I'm not a big fan of manifestation tactics and this kind of things because it feels quite surface level. But it's very interesting to see that even science now shows that these programs matter and that you don't see the reality the way I see it. And if we had these two person in the sales call, the person that just perceived through the senses. So yeah, the person is interested. This person is going to struggle much less in just closing the deal, because the whole the actions, the body, the facial expressions of this person, they're all going to match this success, this predictable success, positive outcome. And the other person that starts to interpret the situation as a failure will start acting accordingly. So what you perceive, the reality you perceive, influence the way you act, influence your actions, influence who you are, influence your identity, and this influence your results. So this is quite important, right? If you found this topic about reality and how the brain perceives the reality interesting, I invite you to check out this video that is going to appear. It's also about the predictive brain. I explain a little bit more how it works in terms of predictions, which is super interesting. And I thank you for watching the video so far, and I wish you a very nice day.